see in various ways. It's the sun who saves. Post-traumatic stress, wish it was less dramatic and simple. Trying to be gentle, they show my kindness for weakness. Sharpen my pencil, they rip my paper to pieces. They call me corny and broke. They made fun of my sneakers. Later, them sneakers would walk on water and take me to Jesus. They caused me pain and shame. I was inclined to do the same. Thought my only choice was crash. It was driving me insane. If I cried, then I'm a lame. But if I snapped, then I'm a James. Tell somebody hold me back, the strap will crack somebody frame. See, it's the way that I've been trained. Got my life shit for the game. And those hostile when Vikings brought trauma to my brain. Hectic domestic violence, silence, screams. I'm about to let these tears fall, but I ain't trying to scare y'all. It's like it's a hole in my soul. Suck it up, hold it all back. This trauma is trying. The pain that's inside don't show that. No storage to shed tears. I got no time to come off soft. Plus, big boys don't cry. I guess I'll be a man and ain't my fault. Cry like a man. Cry like a man. Cry like a man. I used to hear one cry be strong for mommy. My eyes leaking the Dasani, I hide so they can't find me. I'm tired, just being honest, I'm wide. Strong high, I'm on fire. Douse my pride, will live in water out of water from the self-inflicted torture. If I admit it, it's a fair failure. It's hard to miss it because this prison, it feels so familiar. Slightly sadistic, paranoia with paraphernalia on ya. I know the feeling. Victim is tricked into becoming villain. Is sick, but the healing is rich. Thought you was real before, but freedom is as real as it gets. Nothing like being pure and correctly processing the things that we endure. Anger becoming a way we no longer respond, and we get relief from our overly sexualized minds. Move aside ego and pride and finally see the guidelines. Becoming whole, restoration for our soul. Ain't had no dab and no the Father breathing on us. When the wind blows, tears flow. It's like it's a hole in my soul. Suck it up, hold it all back. This trauma is trying. The pain that's inside don't show that. No storage to shed tears. I got no time to come off soft. Plus, big boys don't cry. I guess I'll be a man that ain't my fault. Cry like a man. Cry like a man. Cry like a man. Cry like a man. Need to release you to get free. 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 Free. Be human. Release your emotions so that you can embrace them instead of being ruled by them. Shalom.
Peace and welcome to Monday Night Raw on the Lions Den, man. Hope everybody the week just started, so hope y'all having a good Monday. All right, today we're going to talk about trusting in the Lord. Today's title is called Trust in the Lord, or Trust in God with your whole heart and lean not toward your own understanding. All right, now, we're just going to go over some things about how you should trust in the Lord and lean not on your own understanding. Because Satan's job is to make you, or to get you to waver in your trust, almost like wavering your trusting in the Lord. So then when you start to waver in your trust, then you get weary and tired of waiting on the Lord, and then you'll go off and do your own thing. All right, and that's what he wants us to do. No, that's what Satan wants us to do, but rather the Lord wants us to trust in him and know that he's going to be on there. Know that he's going to be there for us and lean not to our own understanding. All right. So we're going to pick this up in Proverbs 3, and this is where I got the title from. So Proverbs 3, and we're going to pick it up at verse 5. It says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. And all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. All right. So it's saying we're called not to be wise in our own eyes, all right? But we're supposed to fear the Lord and depart from evil. See, once you get tired of waiting on the Lord or something like this, you're gonna think you're gonna get wise. You'll mess around and get wise in your own eyes. All right. And with the aid of Satan will be there. You'll be making sure you be wise and you're thinking that you're making the right moves. All right. So it's like a lot of times when people feel like they are a good person and they're not doing anything wrong and they're living the life the way they want to live it, that they haven't done anything wrong. But all right, well, you're not trusting in the Lord at all. You're doing what you feeling is right. You leaning on your own understanding. All right. And let's go to Proverbs 14. Let's go to Proverbs 14. And let's see what it says at Proverbs 14 and verse 12. It says, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. All right. So obviously, as a man thinks in his head a certain type of way. All right. And a lot of times a man can be thinking like, listen, I'm not hurting nobody. I'm doing what's right. But it's saying here that the end thereof are the ways of death. All right. And how are they the ways of death? That's because they're the ways of death because you're doing what you want to do and not what the Lord is wanting you to do. You're not putting your trust in him. So now you can't put your trust in him. So now you turn to relying on yourself and your own understanding what you want to do. And I know a lot of the times you may hear some stuff, even when you hear some stuff in the Bible, it may be a hard pill to swallow, but you better swallow that pill. All right. It's better than not swallowing that pill and having to deal with the consequences that are going to happen afterwards. Right? So it says, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. All right. It says, jump down to verse 27. It says, the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life to depart from evil. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life to depart from the snares of death. All right. And when you're operating in your own understanding, it's a snare unto death. All right. So this, because he has given us a way in which we are supposed to walk and do things, right? And we're supposed to put our trust in him and keep on walking in them things, all right? Whether it gets difficult or whatever, because it might put you through some things just to see what's going to happen, what you're going to do. All right. Look at Job. He put Job through some things. Job didn't go wrong. All right. Job was still blessed after that. He went through all them things. He put Joseph through some things. We're going to read about Joseph a little later. All right. So a lot of people like to think that they can go a whole bunch of ways. There's really only one way that you can navigate this thing. All right. Let's go to John 14 real quick. John 14 real quick. John 14. I'm just going to read down into what I want to get. Right. We're going to read down into what I'm trying to hit. John 14. All right. So it says, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have not told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know. Mm-hmm. Thomas saith unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? All right, he asked him, how can we know the way? You know what I'm saying? How can we know the way? Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also. And from henceforth ye know him and have seen him. All right. So in verse 6, Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So this is the way and how you're going to get there. All right. Jesus is the way. Christ is the way. Jesus is the way and how you get to the Father. All right. So once you emulate what Jesus is doing, then you can see the Father in yourself too. All right. But you got to be able to walk like Christ did. You have to be able to walk like Christ did. All right. So you see this stuff in here, man. You see this in here. He's letting you know there's only one way. So whatever he has told you to do is the only things that you need to be doing. All right. This is the way. Yes, sir, my brother. Yes, there's only one way. There's the way of the Lord. That's the only way that you're going to end up getting salvation. All right. This is why we have to learn to put our trust in him, man. You're going to go through a lot of things. You're going to go through a whole bunch of things. We're going to see a couple of things here today. But once you learn to put your trust in the Lord, hey, man, it don't matter what you go through. All right. It don't matter what you go through. I'm leaving in Job. He said, even if the Lord killed him, he's still going to have his trust in the Lord. All right. So that's some serious trust and faith. All right. So we're going to go to Jeremiah 17 real quick. Let me hit something over here. All right. Let's see. Jeremiah 17. All right. It says, Jeremiah 17 and 5. It says, thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. All right. So when you put your trust in other things other than the Lord, amen, it says, thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man. All right. So when you making man your strength, man your arm, he says, and make his flesh his arm. Oh, flesh your arm. This is the thing that can reach out and save you. Nah, the Lord's arm can reach out and save you better than any man's arm can reach out and save you, man. It says, and make it flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. So when you departed from the Lord, man, it's looking like you are looking to be cursed. You're looking to be cursed. You have to learn how to put your trust in him and not in anybody else. Once you can put your trust in him, but that comes with a thing. Once you put your trust in him, if you're going to say, I put my trust in the Lord, then you have to be doing what the Lord commands. You can't say, I put my trust in him and not doing what the Lord is saying. That's foolishness. That's foolish talk. How are you going to say, I trust him, but then you don't do nothing he said? Well, obviously you don't trust him, because he said no matter what you're going through, if you put your trust in him and doing what he say, hey, man, you're going to be good. You're going to be solid, man. You're going to be solid. All right, so jump down to verse 7. It says, blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, whose hope the Lord is. This is the man that's blessed. So you got to learn how to trust in the Lord. All right. If you want to be blessed, or maybe you don't want to be blessed. All right. So if you're having trouble trusting in the Lord, we're gonna see some things here that may help you change your mind about how you should trust in the Lord. Because I guarantee you, what we're about to go and read, nobody's been through this. Well, maybe just not to this extent. All right. So we're gonna go over here and read about Joseph a little bit. Because when I start to go through hard times or anything like that, what I do is I look back to the prophets and all the righteous men that came before me and seeing all the things that they went through. And I put myself in their shoes. And then I compare myself, am I going through anything like these men going through? Yet they kept their trust in the Lord. All right. And if mine ain't as greater than if my trouble is not worse than theirs, listen, man, I got it better off than them. I got it better off. All right. So let's go and take a look at it. We're going to go to Genesis 37. And we're going to do a little bit of reading because I want to get a good bit of this story in here. I want to get a good bit of this story in here. All right. So we're going to go to Genesis 37 and we're going to pick it up around verse 13. Now, the things that took place before this, Joseph had a dream. He told his dream to his father and them. His brothers was mad at him and all this. Brothers were hating on him. All right. They were mad at him, really mad at him because of how his father loved him. All right. So we're going to go to verse 13. It says, and Israel said unto Joseph, All right, aka Israel. Israel is the name of Jacob. Jacob got his name changed after he wrestled an angel. Angel changed his name. All right, Israel. And what Israel means, you have power with man and God. All right. So it says, verse 13 says, and Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. And he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he went, so he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go down to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. All right. Remember, I told you he told him he was telling a dream, told a dream to his father, and the brothers and them didn't like the dream because of, you know what I'm saying, it's saying that how they were all going to bow down and make obeisance to him. Anyway, they didn't like it. So let's continue on here. Now, let's see. So they conspired against him, right? As they seen him coming afar. They conspired against him to slay him. Verse 19, it says, and they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Now they got jokes. Now they telling jokes, man. Oh, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast have devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. All right, look at that. Look, boy, I tell you, it's crazy, man. Verse 21, and Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. All right. So Reuben, the older brother, was like, man, come on, we ain't going to kill him. And then Reuben said unto him, shed not blood, but cast him into this pit that in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. And all right, yeah. So Reuben was going to go back and get him and set him free. All right. And it came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat, and his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread. Man, look, they didn't cast their brother into this thing and sat down to eat meal like they ain't did nothing crazy. All right. And they took him and cast him into the pit, and the pit was empty and there was no water. And they sat down to eat bread. And they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him. For he is our brother and our flesh. And his brother were content. All right, so they was getting ready. They wanted to kill him, but now they seen they can get some money from it. Hey, let's get some money from it. All right. And there's nothing good about these things that they're doing. All right. So it says, all right, verse 28, it says, then there passed by Midianites, merchants, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned into the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit. And he rent his clothes. And he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat and killed the kid of the goats, and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it and they brought it to their father, and said, this have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no. And he knew it, and said, it is my son's coat, and evil beasts have devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his loins and mourned for his son many days. And his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I will go down into the grave unto my son, mourning." Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's, and a captain of the guard. All right. So this is what happened to this man Joseph. All right. So we're gonna get a little deeper, but I noticed this whole time Joseph's not gonna lose his trust in the Lord at all. All right. So let's go to chapter 39 and let's get to it. So where he's at. All right. So it says chapter 39 and 1. It says, and Joseph was brought down to Egypt. And Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptians. All right, so this is another thing you can look at. You can take a look and see that you're not spoon. When you keep your trust in the Lord, look. So the Lord was still with him. He didn't lose his faith, his trust in the Lord, because his brothers, his own blood, took him and sold him into slavery, or his own blood was getting ready to kill him. Right now they wanted to make some money off of him. Right. So it said, and his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. All right, so this is Dennis's master. All right, seeing that the Lord was with him, took notice. All right, you a slave, but now you run in the house with the master of the house. All right, never losing your faith, never losing your trust in God. All right, so it came to pass. Verse 5, and it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer of his house and all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hands. And he knew not aught he had. Save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. And she said, lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wanted not what is with me in the house. And he have committed all that he have to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, there's none greater in this house than I. Neither have he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sinned against God? All right, so clearly we see that she's on a different level. Okay, she ain't worried about her husband. He's out on a little trip somewhere, and she trying to get Jacob to lie with her. All right, she trying to get Jacob to get a piece of that, but he said, listen, I ain't trying to do this great evil. You somebody's wife. All right. So look at this. Even though he's still slave and doing all this, he's still not trying to break God's commandments at all. All right. It doesn't matter. He's going through a hell of a lot of trouble, but God's still with him. It says, and it came to pass. All right, so verse 10, it says, and it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her. And you see how Satan worked? Day by day. She's trying to come at him day by day to get him. You know what I'm saying? To get him. And that's how Satan works. He will come day by day. All right. He may leave for just a little bit, but after he took his little break, he coming back. All right. It says, and she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, See, he have brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. All right, you see how this go? You can't get what you wanted to get, so now you gotta tarnish somebody else. All right. All right. You didn't want your wickedness to get out, so you had to tarnish somebody else. This is what she did. All right. This is what she did. And it came to pass when he heard. All right, in verse 15, and it came to pass when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. All right, so you didn't cause this man to get mad at another man for no reason. I mean, something that he didn't even do. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in prison. All right, so look at this. Like, you get put in prison. First, you get sold by your brothers. You ain't did nothing wrong. All right. Let her put myself in his shoes. Put yourself in this man's shoes. You get sold by your family. All right. Then you get somewhere else. You're a slave, but the Lord's still with you. Get you up. And then out of nowhere, boom, somebody trying to get you to commit wickedness, but you ain't going against the Lord. All right. And then boom, look what happens. He got tossed into prison. All right. But it says, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph. Joseph's had all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. And that which he did, the Lord made it prosperous. All right, this is what happened in here. All right, so we're going to continue right on in here to this. We're going to keep going to 40, and we're going to keep hitting 1. All right. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against 2 of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them inward in the house of the captain of the guard into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them. And they continued a season inward, and they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officer that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me then, I pray you. All right. That's where the real interpretation comes from. Anyway, as a side note. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph and said to him, in my dream, behold, a vine was before me. And all right, so we don't got to read all this. All right, anyway, so these men tell Joseph his dream. All right, they tell Joseph his dream. And let's see, hold on. They tell Joseph his dream. Joseph interprets it for him. All right, because the Lord tells him what it is. All right, so let's just skip down to let's see. This is chief butler. Chief. All right, anyway, we're going to skip down to verse 23, all right? So he told him his dream. Joseph told the man, when you get out, don't forget about me, all right? Let's see in verse 23 what he did. He said, Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. All right. So I want to see something. I'm going to hit verse 1 and 41. It says, and it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. All right, so boom. So 2 whole years went by, and you didn't forgot about this man. And then Pharaoh ended up having a dream. And then the butler remembered. Then the butler remembered and told him, and he went and got Joseph, right? He went and got Joseph. And after this, Joseph became second to Pharaoh in the whole land. All right. So all this time he didn't waver. He didn't be like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing things my way. All right, because the Lord was still with him because he had trust in the Lord. That's why this is what you got to do. You got to have trust in the Lord. Because the second you get to leaning on what you want to do and how you want to feel about how you think things should go, that's when you're going to get messed up. All right. And let's go to verse 45 and let's see what something else Joseph said. All right. This is after he gets to meet back up with his brothers. All right. They had to come down. It was a famine in the land. They had to come down and get food from Egypt. All right. Well, now their brother, who they sold into slavery, is second to Pharaoh. All right. Now he played with him a little bit when they got there, messed with him a little bit, but he still was happy to see his brothers, even though they did nothing, even though he did nothing to them in order to be put or for them to sell him. All right. He didn't do nothing that deserved that. All right. He still was happy to see him. Even though he did them no wrong, he was still happy to see him. All right. And Joseph said unto his brother, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years have the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in the which there shall neither be earing nor corn. And God sent me before you to preserve you a prosperity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. Do you hear that? Look at that. God showed him all these things, man. But even still, let's just say if he would have just got sold into slavery, man, and been like, you know what, man, screw this, man. I'm going to have to do the things my way, man. This whole story would have turned out different, man. But he did what was right, man. He kept his trust in the Lord, man. Just the same thing what we got to do, man. Same thing that we got to do. Let's go to Psalms 37. Psalms 37. Psalms 37. Psalms 37. If I can get there, right here. All right. Psalms 37. All right. So look, we're gonna pick it up here. It says in verse 7, Psalms 37 and verse 7, it says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his ways, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Cease from anger, forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. But those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. All right, so you have to wait on the Lord and do what he has says. We already read earlier that there is only one way. All right, so when you put your trust in him, then you're going to understand that there's only one way and only one way that you should be walking in this walk. When you put your trust in the Lord, all right? So it says, because you could possibly see like a lot of times, so say if you don't know the Lord and then you come in and learning the Lord a little bit and you seeing wicked people and all these things, they prospering and all this type of stuff they doing. Hey man, if you get caught up and you seeing that and you be like, well, maybe I ought to give that a try. Nah. That's how Satan didn't got you. He got you now. And you doing that stuff, he got you. All right. So it says, for yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. All right. Skip back up to verse 1. It says, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. All right, so the desires of your heart, if you truly want them, all right, if you truly want them, you have to delight yourself in the Lord. You have to, everything that the Lord is putting out here, it has to be a delight to you. The law has to be a delight to you. Serving the Lord, a delight to you. Keeping the Sabbath, a delight to you. These things have to be a delight to you. You acting like, oh, I'm just doing it to get by. The Lord don't want that. What kind of servant is you? All right? You got to be happy at the Lord, man. And put your trust in him for real. Because if you're not, he's looking at you like, wait a minute, buddy. All right. Let's go over here, man. I got another verse for y'all. It ain't gonna be too long. Well, I really got one more verse. So we're gonna hit this Psalms 25. Did I say Psalms 25? Yeah, Psalms 25. All right, and we're gonna pick it up at verse 8. I really feel like this is wrong. Let me see. No, it's right. All right. So Psalms 25 and verse 8 says, good and upright is the Lord. Therefore will he teach sinners in the way. All right. So he's upright and he will teach sinners in the way that they're supposed to go so that they can turn from sin. But when you hear it, listen, don't cringe up at it. Because you've lived your whole life a certain type of way. Now, when you hear something that you got to do, don't cringe up at it, man. You got to put your trust in the Lord. And just knowing, like, look, if he's telling me to do this, it is for my benefit. He ain't going to tell you to do nothing that's not for your benefit. Only reason that you're not doing it is because you ain't putting your trust in it. You clearly don't believe everything he says. Everything he says. And I know some things could be difficult, you know what I'm saying, at first, all right? But once you learn how to truly put your trust in the Lord, man, you'll be all right. Seeing how Joseph was, brothers sold him, his master's wife tried to sleep with him, he all in prison. Man, you see, he ain't lose trust in the Lord at all, man. All right, so it says, good and upright is the Lord. Therefore will he teach sinners in the way. The meek will he guide in judgment. And the meek will he teach his way. All right, meek. That is something that we have to understand, that we have to be meek. All right, let me get you the definition for meek. So you can hear it. All right, I'm gonna get the true definition for meek. These are the people that he's gonna teach his ways. All right, it says meek. The definition: quiet, gentle, and easily opposed on. Submissive. All right. You remember, look, Moses was the meekest man on the planet when he was around. And you see how much God taught him. All right. This is why we got to learn to put our trust in the Lord. All right. So if it's saying you have to be meek in order to learn his ways, in order for God to teach you, then that's what you got to need to be. You're going to have to learn to shh sometimes. All right. You're going to have to learn how to, you're going to have to learn how to sit back and just listen and watch. All right. This is what some of the things that you're going to have to do. All right. It says, look, jump back up to verse 4. It says, show me thy ways, O Lord, teach me thy paths. All right. Well, we just read who he's going to teach. He's going to teach the meek. All right. So if you're not going to be meek and you can't be meek, listen, you're going to be trying to get understanding forever. All right. Sometimes you got to learn how to be quiet. All right. It says, show me thy ways, O Lord, and teach me thy paths. Lead me in thy truth and teach me, for thou art the God of my salvation. On thee do I wait all the day long. All right. So God, look, it's saying he's going to wait on his little. It says, lead me in thy truth and teach me, for thou art the God of my salvation. All right. He is the God of salvation. You're supposed to put all your trust in him, and every way you move. And all things you do, put your trust in him, man. Things may get hard at some times, still trust in the Lord, man. Don't lean to what you feel may be right just because the situation is difficult or tough. Keep following the Lord. All right. It says, on thee do I wait all the day long. You wait on the Lord. That's how you're supposed to wait. All right. So if you read it and you see these other people and examples that they went through and stuff they went through, put yourself in their shoes, man. See if what you're going through is what they're going through. All right. Or even compares or matches up to what they went through. And if it didn't, man, that should make you even stronger. Like, listen, you got to be stronger because clearly they were strong. Clearly. All right. So, and that's it. And that was trusting God with your whole heart and lean not toward your own understanding. All right. Pray somebody got some edification in the name of Christ, man. And until I see y'all next week, man, peace, 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 peace.